This is the Swahili jollof. This dish is made with goat meat, with West African veggie, with Swahili spices.
This right here is called the combi oven. Combi oven uses technology where we cook your food with steam. That means a lot of our foods are not now fried for health purposes. It is able to decrease the cooking time by almost 80% of the normal time that you use to be able to make a meal.
And do it consistently. We have the ability to feed 180 guests in the dining room at the same time. 70 dish can go to a table at the same time, same consistency, and a lot faster than 5-6 cooks cooking on the line by themselves.
We try to do home food.
Home food.
And the secret is that, because when mom cook, she tasting, she smelling, she know that. So we try to do the same.
Hello, welcome to the New Frontier Africa. I am Abdul Rashid Abu Bakr. On the show today, I have Mr. Kevin Onyona. Mr. Kevin, hello, how are you?
I'm good, Abdul Rashid. How are you?
Also, I have Mr. Shoaib Ahmad. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Abdul Rashid, how are you?
Good. Both have a very unique concept, the Swahili village. Mr. Kevin, can you tell me how it all started?
Well, Abdul Rashid, thank you so much for having us on your show. We appreciate the time which you've taken to be able to put and shed Swahili village on the African map. I came to this country 22 years ago, and when I got here, I was almost always disturbed that as a diaspora, I could not find, a good place to enjoy a good meal on Main Street, America. If I wanted to enjoy a good meal, I had to go to the back street of America to find a good meal there. And so the story is so long, and just to condense it, I set about to dream of one day owning a fine dining African restaurant. And so after I settled in this country, like 20 years later, I was able to now start the journey of conceptualizing this concept of a fine dining African restaurant. And a lot of people doubted that that's even possible. However, in 2009, I got a small little space and decided that I'm going to go and train myself, teach myself to be a chef. Because whereas I knew that I have the gift to be able to, make a good meal and, cook well, I needed to train myself to do it commercially, which is what a lot of times we have missed because, if you are not a good chef and if you're not trained to be able to commercialize your craft in that regard, and to know it holistically, and to be able to follow the regulatory requirements of dining generally in America, we end up just having to go to the back street where regulation is minimal And that's what has actually created what we then now know as African foods. And so I decided, no, I'm going to be able to train myself to be a chef. And I did it in my own kitchen. I hired a consultant to work with me every week. And after 4 years, I actually finally became a chef and in my own kitchen. So in other words, I was able to come up with recipes. I was able to come up with a process. I was able to come up with a production system. And finally, I was able to step out of the kitchen and step onto the front of house to be able to now run this business.
When was the first Swahili village opened in Beltsville, Maryland?
It was 22nd of May 2009. I remember that date very well because it's my wife's birthday, or not the year, but my wife's birthday. It was a small location. I had to start small because, first of all, I didn't have the experience in the beginning to go big, and neither did I have the money. But I was able to get a small little location, and we were able to renovate it, clean it up, and came up with a very intimate environment, clean, with good service and good food. And so because of that, we were able to attract quite a big number of clientele very quickly, because we were doing something that nobody had dared to do. Plus, we also had an open kitchen in that small location, where if you walked in there, you could see how your food was being prepared, and it gave the people the confidence that this is somebody who is able to be transparent with us, and they could trust that whatever it is we were making for them was of the standard that they deserved.
Thank you. How then did you meet Mr. Shoaib? And can you tell us a little bit about your business relationship with him?
Mr. Shoaib joined our business now 10 years into the business because we were growing. So after the small location, we realized that we had already really overcrowded that location and overgrown it. So I decided to build another location, and we moved to this other location, which was much bigger at this time. The original location was about 1,500 square feet, and we moved to a 5,000 square foot restaurant.
Wow.
Yes. And this was now my journey to start that process of fine dining. So that second location was really deemed as fine dining. And it did excessively well, very successful indeed, even right now, a beautiful restaurant. While we were at this second location, our guests from downtown D.C. were always complaining that they have to drive far away to come to that other location.
Which I'm one of them.
Yes, I remember that. Yeah, and so I remember a conversation with Ambassador Elkanah and the AU ambassador, former ambassador. She was always reminding me that, Kevin, please come to downtown DC and build a restaurant for us, because this journey is too much. Though we love your food, but it is such a hike to be able to get all the way back out to Maryland. So a few years later, I decided now it's time to be able to come into downtown DC, which means now we are growing a second location. When we finally got downtown DC, we got a really good location where we are sitting right now here. We named it the Consulate. And it was named the Consulate because we located this place right downtown DC, on the main street of the capital city of the world, pretty much. We are 4 blocks away from the World Bank. We are on the diplomatic corridor of the city. We are next door to the IMF. We are close to the State Department. The White House is a few blocks away. So we really got it right this time to place this restaurant exactly where I had dreamt that we wanted to put it. But in the process of doing this, I needed to find somebody who has the skill set to manage a growing brand, because this is now what we are, a growing brand. And then Imad came my way, and it's been a blessing to have him.
Yeah, thank you. And now I want to talk a little bit about how Mr. Imad see Swahili village moving forward.
Well, thank you, Abdul Rashid, for having us today, and welcome home at the Consulate, which is the home of all African. My name is Imad Shoaib. I'm originally from Cairo, Egypt. My dad was an Egyptian diplomat, so we lived throughout the world, and I became a citizen of the world. I moved to the US in 1980, and since day one, I knew I'm going to be making a big impact in a change in the way Africa is looked at, and the way Arab are looked at, and the way Muslim are looked at in the US and in Western Europe. I started franchising restaurants since 1989. I took American concepts from fast food to casual dining to full service into Africa and Middle East. That was my passion, serving people and representing America in this way, and doing it through not an international citizen, through an Arab African citizen, going back home to educate, provide jobs, and represent a brand and operate a brand. We are used in Cairo, Egypt. All the major hotels are run by British, American, Swiss, and I wanted to be the Egyptian that can run an American international brand. So I did this for about 30 years, and my final destination was in Morocco till 2012. Developed 2 American franchises, very successful, and God closed that door to open a gate with Swahili for me, because we came back to the US for the right reasons, not to put people in harm's way during the Arab Spring. So I came back to the US and I met Kevin, seen his vision, seen his beautiful restaurant, tasted the African food that we call it different names, but it's the same food that we eat. And I knew then this is my destiny to develop and take that brand globally. Kevin wanted to open 50 locations in the US. I wanted to do it globally, throughout the world, to introduce Africa properly with American standards of operation.
You are fond of telling your colleagues and friends about your multicultural upbringing. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Well, I was humbled and honored to be a son of a diplomat, an Egyptian diplomat, and I was honored to marry a Moroccan lady that I had 2 beautiful children with, and that really impacted my life between East Africa and West Africa, English-speaking country and French-speaking country, which made me a better human being, better man, and better husband. So I always like to share that experience and that culture, and I lived in 7, 8 different countries throughout the world, from African country to Arab countries to European, and then into the US. So it's a shame if we don't be proud of who we are and tell the people about who we are.
How about you, Kelvin?
I am completely opposite of what Imad Shoaib is. I was born in the villages of Africa. I grew up in a small little dusty town called Homer Bay, but it was clearly the best place to grow up, because it humbled our beginnings and gave me an insight into how food in Africa was seen and created. When I was in school, I was in the village with my grandmother and grandfather, and I watched how she and my grandfather approached, the culinary experience. It taught me how you can get fresh food in the morning in the fields and go home and whip up a nice, quick, beautiful meal. But also taught me that grandmother always knew that there will be days when there's drought, there's famine, and there's no fresh food immediately available, especially during times when there was no rains. So I was watching how she was able to make fresh made meals, and how she was able to preserve the same foods and use it later on when there was famine. That fundamentally really is what finally became the basis out of which I decided to open a scratch kitchen restaurant. Basically what I'm saying is that we're able to make your food fresh while you wait, which is something that a lot of people are not being able to accomplish because they either know how to preserve the food or over prep the food and then store it and cook it later. So that shaped that experience that I had culturally growing up became now later on the reason why you can bet on Swahili Village being a successful brand, because at our best our body likes fresh food. If you eat something that you got from the fields to your table, it more often will give you, your body receives it better than if you took that same food and stored it for a long time and then served it.
Conceptualizing the idea of Swahili Village to the implementation, what are the challenges you face in the process?
During the process of conceptualizing this brand, we've gone through all kinds of things, manner of things that would have actually literally, killed the hope. The first one was when we moved from the small location to a large location, we grossly underestimated the cost that it was going to take to build this restaurant. And so in the process of doing it, you realize that you have run out of money that you had planned to use to finish the restaurant, and then now you're paying rent and you're not able to finish the restaurant. However, without cutting any corners, we were able to persist, and we were able to get that restaurant open. As soon as we opened this restaurant, believe it or not, we had a fire that completely destroyed the entire kitchen of the restaurant. And we had to close for an entire year to renovate the restaurant so that we can get back on. Naturally, most people that thought, okay, that's the end of that idea, because the fire was very, very, very damaging. We had to literally rebuild the entire restaurant over. So that was one. But even before then, I had a bout with cancer, which was very challenging, and just about then, everybody thought, I don't think this guy will last, because I was given 6 years to leave, but I refused to go. So in the process of doing this, I've been tested and tested so many times, and then over that, once we got to that hump over the cancer thing and the fire thing, I built this restaurant in downtown D.C., the Consulate. 10 days after we launched, we had the privilege of hosting the President of the Republic of Kenya. He was the one actually who came and was able to grace the ceremony of cutting the ribbon for the restaurant to launch. 10 days later, COVID hit. and we had to shut, down from normal dining into now trying to, survive the COVID wave. It was very, very trying time. I'm glad that, Shoaib, Imad was very, tenacious and refused to quit. And so we are so glad now that we are able to get to launch this brand. And the 26th marks, like Imad said, marks the day when the brand of African cultural fine dining experience is going to be showcased to the world. Now I say the world because we have a restaurant right now just about to be launched in Newark, New Jersey in 2 months' time.
And also in New York.
And in Manhattan, New York, Atlanta, Georgia, Dallas, Texas, Houston, and even locally we're going to have several clusters. Imad has the experience for international exposure and in the international activation. We're looking at our first international location, maybe in Dubai. We haven't really decided, so we're going to be doing Dubai, we're going to be doing Nigeria, we're going to be doing Kenya, we're going to be doing South Africa. And then we have a good mind to go to England and to be even in China when we finally get there. But 26 marks the first day that the world gets to experience what is possibly going to be the first African, fine dining brand to the whole globe. And we look forward to that.
Thank you so much for that insight. Let me come back to Mr. Imad. In the next 10 years, where do you see the Swahili village?
In 10 years, I see this brand to be a 100-store brand, 50 to say the least, because that was the landmark that we promised the president of Kenya, that we wanted to inaugurate the 50th location we opened. And I'm going to remind them of that. And we want to be 5 stores a year in growth.
Is that nationally or internationally?
We want to focus first in solidifying the brand nationally, so we become a national brand, and then we'll go international when we're ready with the people, resources, and training system that will introduce this as a system of hospitality, not just a restaurant chain.
So many times when African migrates to the United States or abroad, they find it challenging, they find it difficult to integrate into the system. How are you able to bear the system abroad?
I don't know why people think that it's not possible. I dare to say that if you leave your country and you come to a country like America or any other country as it is, you're already very brave. You're already you're not average anymore because you leave your comfort of your country to come to seek other opportunities elsewhere.
Greener pastures.
Yeah, greener pastures. You must already give yourself a pat in the back. But more importantly, when you go to a new society, clearly there are going to be challenges for you in even how you integrate, sometimes even language, and oftentimes cultural differences. And so, on my part, I know that in the beginning, it wasn't easy. We had to go through the process of finding your legal place in the society. But I dare to, encourage all those living abroad. Don't settle for less. You know, it is very difficult, especially in America, where there is a component of race as well, to submit an application for a lease on a commercial building. They see your last name, that already is a problem, you know. But you don't quit just because somebody said no to you once. Make sure that you're able to turn that no into a yes. A dream is a dream, and a dream is valid, and you must make sure that nobody kills it.
And Mr. Imad, can you respond to that?
Well, I believe always that you have to do what you say. If you say, I'm going to be successful, you cannot settle for less, as Kevin says. We came here to chase a dream. We are capable of implementing that dream and building on it and lead on it. For me, in the last 40 years in the US, I've never looked at myself as a secondary citizen or I'm a foreigner coming here. I looked at myself as an American who are coming in to achieve his dream and take what's his. Try, achieve, succeed, do what you say you're gonna do.
You have vast experience and exposure in terms of, you know, building multi-billion-dollar restaurants across the globe. Now you coming into the Swahili system, how would you bring that to the world? How would you see that coming into the world?
It's all started with Kevin. Kevin has a vision. Kevin is disciplined. Kevin has attention to details. I manage systems. I've grown up managing systems and leading and exceeding expectations. So I have a great brand. I have a great idea. And we have 54 countries to pull cultural and recipe and experiences from. So I know that we going to change the history of hospitality in the Western Hemisphere and become a global brand for real. And it starts with the vision and the discipline of Kevin.
Mr. Kevin, during your free time, what do you do to relax?
I drink scotch. No, really, I have a young family and I enjoy them. I try to enjoy them as possible. Our firstborn daughter is 14 and we have a 13-year-old. Then 10 years later, God blessed us with 2 more children. So I have a 3-year-old and a 4-year-old in the house. That's enough fun. That's enough fun.
What about you, Mr. Imad?
I am guilty as charged. I work too much. I'm blessed with a great wife that support system to me. I'm blessed with three children. I have a 30-year-old in Paris, France, and I have an 18-year-old freshman in college and a 13-year-old boy that they're apple of my eyes. And I enjoy watching them grow. I enjoy providing a role model for them to follow. I work hard and I want to start playing hard, but after we get Swahili off the ground.
So, Mr. Kelvin, what advice, would you give to an upcoming entrepreneur out there who thinks it is rough or who got scared that it may not be possible?
It's not going to be easy. And we all know, easy come, easy go. Easy money, easy out. But if you have the discipline to work, to build and create something, there's always, I describe what we do as a solution to a problem. If you believe that what you're starting off is a solution to a problem for which somebody can pay you money to buy, you're onto something. Don't quit. Quitting is the easiest thing to do. But if you find a problem build a solution around that problem, solve that problem, and turn it into a product. And I believe truly that if you have a good product, human beings love good things, and you solve a problem, human beings like solution to problems. And the solution is a good solution, and the product is a genuine product. Somebody will buy it. Don't worry, somebody will buy it. So keep doing what you're doing. Let money not be the barrier. Let self-doubt be the barrier. They will come. Those moments are there. But it is those who see beyond those moments that ultimately, accomplish it. Your turn will come, and the dream will be real.
Wow. So are you fulfilled looking at your ideas becoming a one-stop shop for global restaurant?
Am I fulfilled? I'm happy with what we have created so far. The world is still out there, full of all kinds of needs, and for now we're focused solely on making sure that the brand is solid. We have a lot of people whose lives we are changing and will change, and that makes me happy, because this restaurant, for instance, runs with at optimum it will hire almost 70 to 80 people.
Wow.
And all those people, most of whom are actually immigrants also. It's a fulfilling feeling, and that part makes me very happy. And think about, if you do 50, we are impacting humanity at a very high level, and that part is fulfilling.
Mr. Iman, are you fulfilled?
I am, as Kevin said, I'm very happy with where we're at. We are started the big journey with one step, one location. We're going to be disciplined, and I'm not going to be fulfilled till we are a global brand, domestically and internationally. Every city in major America will have a Swahili village, and we're going to provide our culture. We're going to present our way of life, and we're going to be proud doing it, and then we'll take it back home. Then I'll be fulfilled.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kelvin, and also Mr. Shuaib Imad, for talking to me about this wonderful Swahili village concept. I will continue to follow the story of Swahili village across the United States, going to Virginia, New Jersey, and also the big city in New York. And I'll continue to bring that excitement and a wonderful time with the Swahili people and the customers from across the United States to you, our viewers. Thank you for watching. My name is Abdul Rashid Abu Bakr. Until I see you again, I say have a wonderful day. Bye.